In the dry and endless land of Kruger Game Reserve, the afternoon sun painted everything in a golden glow. The red soil, the tall grass, and the dark Rocky Mountains all shimmered under the heat. Two rangers, David Okoro and Aisha Nlovu, drove slowly along a dusty trail in their old pickup truck. The only sound was the hum of the engine and the crunch of gravel under the wheels. But suddenly the silence broke. From the cliffs came a strange, painful groan. David quickly lifted his hand, signaling Aisha to stop the truck. Both rangers stepped outside, their boots sinking into the hot gravel. The sound came again, clearer, sharper, and filled with despair. Their faces grew tense. They followed the sound, climbing deeper into the trail until their eyes froze in shock. There, hanging dangerously from the edge of a steep cliff, was a male lion. Its legs scratched helplessly against the smooth rock. Its body shook under the heavy weight of exhaustion. At any moment it could fall into the deep canyon below. The wind whistled through the empty rocks, and in that lonely sound, the rangers felt the life of a king of the jungle slipping away. Aisha's voice trembled as she whispered, "If we delay even a moment, it will fall." Without waiting, David rushed forward and lay down flat on the edge of the cliff. With both arms, he grabbed the lion's strong but trembling front legs. The beast growled softly, but its golden eyes were not filled with anger. They were filled with a plea for help. Meanwhile, Aisha turned and ran with all her strength back to the truck. Dust rose behind her as she pulled out a thick rescue rope. While she rushed back, David's arms shook under the lion's weight. Tiny pieces of stone broke off and tumbled into the abyss, making his heart beat wildly. Sweat covered his face as he clenched his teeth and refused to let go. At last, Aisha returned. She quickly tied the rope around the lion's chest, making a secure loop, and wrapped the other end around the trunk of an old tree standing near the cliff. "Now!" she cried. Together, both rangers pulled with all their power. Muscles strained, their bodies shook, and the lion tried weakly to dig its claws into the rocks for support. Finally, with a final heave, the heavy body of the lion rolled onto solid ground. It collapsed in front of them, chest rising and falling with sharp breaths. Blood trickled from a deep wound across its belly. The two rangers sighed in relief. The lion looked at them with tired golden eyes, eyes that carried not rage but gratitude. David opened his medical kit and handed it to Aisha. They both knew the lion needed help immediately. To treat it safely, they had to put it to sleep. Aisha prepared the needle with steady hands and injected the medicine. Slowly, the giant beast closed its eyes and drifted into a calm sleep. The rangers worked quickly. They cleaned the wound, wiped away the blood, and carefully wrapped a strong bandage around the lion's abdomen. Then, with great effort, they lifted the heavy body onto the back of their truck. The old vehicle bounced on the broken, rocky road, carrying its unusual passenger. During the long drive, David sat close to the lion, pressing his hand gently on its chest, making sure every breath was still there. His eyes never left it. At last, after more than an hour, they reached the Kruger veterinary station. Doctors were already waiting, prepared for the emergency. Inside the brightly lit room, the lion was given medicine to stop its pain. The doctors examined the wound. It was deep, dangerous, and needed stitching immediately. Knives and metal tools clinked as the operation began. Outside the room, David and Aisha stood silently, their hearts heavy with fear. Every passing minute felt like an eternity. The doctors worked with calm and patience, stitching the wound carefully, one stitch at a time, as if they were sewing together hope itself. At last, the wound was closed, and a white bandage wrapped around the lion's golden fur. It was placed inside a large cage with medical machines, monitoring its heart and breathing. The steady beeping sound finally gave everyone a moment of relief. Night covered the sanctuary, but David refused to leave. He stayed outside the cage, watching the weak lion breathe. By morning, something changed. Slowly, the lion pushed itself up on shaky legs. It moved a few steps around the cage, then looked at everyone with soft golden eyes. When the doctors placed a small piece of tender meat inside, the lion ate it all. Smiles and laughter filled the room. Over the next 3 days, the lion grew stronger. The wound began to heal and its walk became steadier. Each day, David and Aisha visited, checking its health and feeding it with care. The lion began to recognize them. Sometimes it greeted them with a soft growl, not of threat, but of friendship. In that moment, the line between man and beast disappeared. A bond had formed, born from courage, compassion, and trust. When the doctors were certain the lion was strong enough, a meeting was called. The decision was clear. It was time to return the lion to the wild. The cage was loaded onto a strong vehicle, and the journey began back through the red, dusty roads of Kruger. At last, the convoy reached a vast, open grassland, stretching endlessly under the hot sun. The cage was placed on the ground, and for a moment, silence filled the air. Then the door opened. Slowly, with majestic steps, the lion walked out. Its mane glistened under the golden light. The lion stopped and raised its head, breathing in the scent of freedom. Then it turned toward David and Aisha. Their eyes met in silence. No words were spoken, but in those glowing golden eyes was a message of deep gratitude. Suddenly, a roar erupted, shaking the mountains and rolling across the plains. It was a roar of life, a roar of return. David and Aisha's hearts trembled as the lion turned and walked powerfully into the tall green grass. Its golden mane swayed in the wind until its figure vanished into the horizon. The two rangers stood silently, knowing they had witnessed something rare and unforgettable, an unspoken exchange of respect and gratitude between man and beast.